ever stop and wonder if there's some kind of hidden logic to your choices? A blueprint that guides everything from your morning coffee order to your biggest life decisions. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that very blueprint. It's a really powerful idea from economics that honestly might just change how you see every decision you make. Let's dive in. I mean, just think about it for a second. Coffee or tea? A night in or a night out? Even the smallest, most insignificant choices you make every day involve this quick, almost subconscious calculation, right? You weigh the options, you think about the outcomes, and you pick one. But what's really going on in your head in that moment? Well, it turns out economists have a theory about this. They believe that underneath all of our seemingly random choices, there's a powerful and surprisingly consistent framework at play. It's called rational choice theory, and it's pretty much the foundation for how we understand a ton of modern economic behavior. So, what's the core idea behind this whole blueprint? Well, it all kicks off with something called the rationality assumption. Let's break down what that actually means. At its heart, rational choice theory is built on a pretty simple idea. You know what you like, you can rank your options, and you'll always choose what's going to bring you the most satisfaction. This basically creates a sort of perfect economic actor, sometimes called homo economicus, a totally logical decision maker. And in the world of economics, that satisfaction has a special name. And that name is utility. Now, what's really fascinating about utility is that it's not some universal number. It's completely subjective. My utility from a quiet night in with a book might be huge, while yours might be, zero. The theory doesn't judge our preferences. It just assumes we're all playing our own game, trying to get the highest personal score possible. Okay, so for this whole idea to work as a model that can predict things, economists had to lay down some ground rules for what a rational decision even looks like. So let's get into the mechanics of it. These are basically the four pillars that hold the entire theory up. First up, completeness. That just means you can always look at two options, say an apple and a banana, and decide if you prefer one to the other, or if you don't care. No, I don't know, allowed. Second, transitivity. This one's all about logical consistency. If you like coffee more than tea, and tea more than juice, then it just has to follow that you like coffee more than juice. Without this, your choices would be a total mess. Third, non-satiation. Basically, the more is better rule. And finally, consistency. Your core preferences don't just flip-flop on a whim. Altogether, these rules create a predictable, understandable model of how we choose. Okay, so those are the rules for a perfectly rational decision in a perfect world. But of course, we don't live in a perfect world. Maximizing our satisfaction isn't about having it all. The theory is actually grounded in reality, and we all face constraints. We've got a limited amount of money, a finite amount of time, and we pretty much never have perfect information. So the rational choice is the best one you can make within those limits. And this right here illustrates one of the most important concepts in all of economics, opportunity cost. See, every single time you choose something, you are also choosing not to do something else. A rational person gets this trade-off. The true cost of that brand new phone isn't just the price tag. It's the value of the next best thing you had to give up, like that vacation you really needed. So how do we actually make these trade-offs? We think at the margin. You don't ask, should I study for my exam? Instead, you ask, is the benefit of one more hour of studying worth the cost of one less hour of sleep? When that extra or marginal benefit is bigger than the marginal cost, a rational person goes for it. It's this constant subconscious cost-benefit analysis we're doing all day long. So that's the blueprint for one person. But here's where it gets really fascinating. The real power of this theory is how it scales up, explaining how millions of tiny, rational decisions all add up to shape the entire world economy. And just look at how far this idea reaches. Your personal quest to get the most bang for your buck, when combined with everyone else doing the same thing, literally creates the demand curves that businesses live and die by. It explains why people work. It's a trade-off between wages and leisure time. For policymakers, it's an absolutely critical tool. They might use it to predict that a new tax on soda will cause people to rationally buy less of it. It's even the foundation of game theory. Seriously, it's everywhere. Now, I can practically hear you thinking, wait a second, are we really this logical all the time? And the answer is, of course not. And you know what? Modern economics not only admits this, it's kind of obsessed with it. So let's look at what happens when our real-world behavior doesn't quite fit that perfect blueprint.
This brings us to the really cool field of behavioral economics. If rational choice theory gives us that idealized Homo economicus, well, behavioral economics studies us, Homo sapiens, in all our messy human reality. It explores our mental shortcuts, our emotional reactions, and all the cognitive biases that make us stray from perfect rationality, like why losing $100 feels way worse than gaining $100 feels good.
A huge concept here is something called bounded rationality. The idea is that we try to be rational, but we're limited. We're not supercomputers, right? We don't have the time or the brain power to analyze every single option to perfection. So instead of finding the absolute best or optimal solution, we often just settle for one that's good enough. It's a concept called satisficing, a mix of satisfying and sufficient.
So here's the crucial takeaway. These new behavioral insights don't just throw the old model in the trash. Not at all. Instead, they add these essential layers of realism to it. Think of it this way. Rational choice theory provides the fundamental structure, the benchmark of perfect logic. And behavioral economics helps us understand all the interesting and predictable ways we tend to drift away from it. And that's exactly why this theory is still so important. It gives us a consistent framework to start with. It's the engine running under the hood of most economic models that analyze markets and policies. Without that baseline assumption of rationality, it would be so much harder for a government to predict the impact of a tax cut or for a business to figure out its pricing. It connects all the dots from you to the market.
So, we've walked through the blueprint, the rules, the real-world uses, and its modern-day evolution. The theory gives us this powerful, even if it's not perfect, explanation for how markets work, driven by millions of us all trying to maximize our own unique sense of satisfaction. But the question I really want to leave you with is this. When you think about your own choices, does this theory explain you?